Michigan 81, Maryland 80, as noted in the previous recap of the Big Ten tournament today. It's Carter Elliott's birthday, and we gave Big Fella the night off. He's not ducking because his rival won. I'll be sure to remind him of this result tomorrow, and hopefully he'll be on the championship game recap. But for today's purposes, we have Brian Ralph stepping in, as always, to hit a home run when we need a pinch hitter. Ralph, I'm excited, man. I did not see this run coming. There were stretches of this season where my favorite basketball team showed upside that made me believe special things could happen for this team. The final 3 weeks of the regular season were so bad that I just point blank did not think they would win a game again. I picked Purdue to win this tournament largely because I thought it was a gift that they got Michigan in the second round, and that would be a get right spot that would change their season. Turns out it was the inverse. Michigan got right against Purdue and showed up ready to fight a Maryland team that is really talented and has been one of the best teams in the country over the last 2 months. Michigan kind of punked them, in my opinion, in this game. Maryland still had some special shot making to steal it back late, some big time free throws. Derek Queen had a great game, but Trey Donaldson with some legacy moments in the final minute. So, what was your biggest takeaway from Michigan's win?
That Trey Donaldson. We've talked about this. You and I have, whenever we've talked about Michigan this season, is that like Danny Wolf is awesome, Vida Golden is awesome, but if they're going to do anything this time of year, they need a guard to step up, and that guy is essentially Trey Donaldson. They need him to play well if they're going to meet their expectations. And when he does that, even leaving out the late game stuff, right, 9 assists, 12 points, let's say 10 points without that last layup, like that's good enough to win you a game. When he contributes that way, it elevates Michigan to a level that raises like raises the floor from where they had been at the 3 games to close regular season, where they were getting worked by everybody. Right. When he plays like this in the front court and plays like this, it makes them be the team that is playing for the Big Ten, was playing for the Big Ten regular season title, is playing for the Big Ten tournament title, is in line for a top five, top four seed, and then say tournament. When he's not, he's the Michigan is the team we look at as, oh, let's hope they don't get a good 12 seed.
So, what changed? Because I completely agree. And look, his matchup was Braden Smith last game.
Yep.
It's not like if we're talking Purdue was a get right game for somebody, it shouldn't have been Trey Donaldson, but he showed up to this tournament ready to go.
To be honest, if we knew what like made Trey Donaldson tick, he would still be at Auburn.
It's a good point. What did Bruce Pearl say the other day? My guards aren't blank.
Yeah.
I
Like
think
this is
that was a not so subtle shot at his ex guards, to be honest. And in the final minute, Trey Donaldson was not blank in this game.
no. It's just he runs hot and cold. And I don't know what it is. There are just some games he's super checked in for, and some games he's not. I'm sure there's something mentally there, whether it's something in his routine, whether it's something that Dusty May gives him responsibility to do. I'm not sure. But he's just one of these guys who comes in hot or cold.
Yeah. Yeah, it's maddening. That's the best word. I've dubbed a new nickname for Trey Donaldson that I'm really excited to unveil. And knowing that Cart won't hear this until tomorrow, I'm hoping I can like weave it into a monologue and he won't even notice. It's gonna be great. M. Night Donaldson. He is the M. Night Shyamalan of point guards. The twists and turns, the shocking just twist. That's all this is, right? When you think the main
Yeah.
character's dead, he's alive with a knife. Like the calls are coming from inside the house. I see dead people, Trey Donaldson. That's who he is.
Maryland should have made him twist and turn a little bit more.
A little bit more, you're right. But no, there's a lot of elements of this game, but I'm glad you started with Donaldson. He had 12 points, 9 assists, 2 turnovers. Most importantly, in this 2 game stretch, it's not crazy eye popping box score stuff, but he's been a constant. He played 35 minutes against Purdue. He played 34 minutes against Maryland. He hasn't been relied upon in that role because he hasn't deserved that role in the better part of a month and a half. Even when Michigan was winning close games in that win streak, there were times where Donaldson got on the bench for final 5 minute stretches because he didn't play well enough and Dusty May didn't trust what he was seeing. There hasn't been a moment in this 2 game stretch. Again, it's only 2 games, but there hasn't been a moment where Donaldson has been I guess, afraid to make a decision or
Yeah.
indecisive in general. He hasn't had defensive lapses that he's had. He's just been locked in, and it is a completely different team if he shows up like that. The other thing that happened for Michigan in this game, Derek Queen was sensational. Julian Reese was not bad, but I thought physically the Michigan front court punked the Maryland front court. And I don't think many people would have said that coming in. I think if you gave people the rebounding numbers before this game, people would have assumed that Maryland would be the team that would have finished with 47 rebounds to Michigan's 18 rebounds. They out
Yeah.
rebounded them by 29 boards in this game. And it was a Vlad Golden masterpiece down low against the Maryland front court.
It really was. And it was vastly different too, because they played like 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that matchup was on the boards I'm looking at now 39-37, like much, much more even, which allowed Maryland to win that game on the road. It did seem like um, Maryland's the Queen and Reese tried to get cute. Like they weren't truly fighting for those unless it was an offensive kind of move and they were right there. They weren't trying to rebound out of their area. They weren't trying to do anything too much. How much of that is the fact that you are playing essentially only five guys on the second game of a back to back?
Mm,
Could be some of that and them just being a little bit gassed. Either way, it can't happen.
right. Yeah, I've talked about how there's some similarities between I think Queen and Wolf stylistically and who they are and where their futures are headed as well. Um, to me, the difference between the front courts in this game, no disrespect to Julian Reese, who's a good player, Vlad Golden's way better.
Yeah.
And they're not matched up that way necessarily, but like if Wolf and Queen are canceling each other out, doing all this big guard stuff, passing, shooting, like Vlad Golden was just a constant physically as a finisher in this game in a way that Maryland didn't have one. And
Yeah.
he was the first team All Big Ten center for a reason. I feel like there's been a lot of discussion on Michigan at large this year, narratively, of like they're fortunate. A lot of late game luck has gone their way. Danny Wolf's the best player here. I know even you have gone through Danny Wolf's weaknesses and how they hurt his team at times, but like at the end of this year, Vlad is the guy who got the accolades. Vlad has been the most productive player on this team, and against I think the other best front court in this league, Vlad was the best player on the floor tonight to me.
He was. He really was. And Wolf played really well too. Like the duo of them and how they work with Golden being the more physical presence inside makes a difference in games like this where you are going up against your other bigs. And Wolf's ability to face up, handle the ball presents its own issues. I will say, like, Danny Wolf is awesome. When Maryland got back in this game was because they went at him defensively. They brought him out on the perimeter,
Yeah. Yeah.
which again, something I'm looking at. But Golden on the interior, like this is the Golden from FAU that made the Final Four, right? This isn't the guy who kind of like struggled a little bit last year and was up and down the start of the season. This is the version that helped FAU get to the Final Four.
The one thing I would say on the Danny stuff, you're right. Some of their buckets came at that expense. I think it's not like an excuse, but like what worked for Michigan, I thought defensively in this game was the switch everything scheme. And when you are switching everything, you got to hunt somewhere. Danny most
Right.
likely is the guy to hunt. So, like,
Yes.
by default, if you're going to run a switch everything scheme, there's going to be times where he gets beat. I actually thought he held up pretty well in the final 4 minutes. He got switched on to Gillespie a couple times,
Mhm.
and Gillespie really didn't go anywhere with it late. So they got to the free throw line a lot. Ultimately, like Maryland did enough offensively to win this game. But I don't know. It's one of those things. I think tomorrow, we'll talk about this in the preview. Tomorrow
Yeah.
will be a big test for this because in the first matchup against John Tanji, Wolf shut him down.
Mhm.
And Tanji has lit everybody else on fire since. Greg Gard is now going to know that that's coming. Maybe Dusty May will switch up the scheme a little bit, but it could be a breaking point for you and I's debate on if Danny Wolf is a good or a bad defender.
He's a great interior defender. My
Yeah,
my just he has the foot speed of you and I.
he held up well on Gillespie though.
There was for the most part, it made me laugh. It was either the second to last basket Maryland scored or the last one. Gillespie had it in the corner with Wolf. Wolf was on him, and Gillespie got past him before Wolf had turned around or like tried to move.
I mean, it's like me in men's league. Like I can't
Right. That's
switch
what
on
I'm
to
saying.
anybody, man. Put me on the old guy. I'll stand in the corner. It works. Um, Michigan role players, I want to talk through them quickly.
Yep.
Donaldson was obviously good. He's not a role player necessarily, but like the big three, Wolf, Golden, and Donaldson all did their thing and are going to get their praise, rightfully so.
Yep.
Roddy Gale hit a three in this game for the first time in what felt like 17 games. I believe he
Yep.
literally missed 18 consecutive 3-point attempts before this shot. I joked on Twitter that it should be worth 79 points when he hits a three. I think immediately after Roddy hit the three, Michigan did go on an 18-0 run. So I think honestly, it's kind of backbreaking when the dude who hasn't made one in 2 months makes one. But he did so many other things other than just make one 3-point attempt in this game. He was cutting,
Mhm.
he was active, he was finishing. Michigan was getting a lot of, I think, offensive rebounding action
Yep.
because Roddy Gale kept beating his defender back door, and the Maryland bigs would have to slide over out of position to cover up for it, and then Vlad and Danny would fly around and get the board. It's a little thing that goes unnoticed, but he's been so lethargic for 2 months. And Dusty May said it after the game. I watched the press conference. Literally the question was just like, man, you guys are playing back to that ceiling you showed. Like, what are you seeing? And Dusty May's first answer was, well, I'm seeing Roddy Gale have fun again.
Mhm.
I don't know what changed, but as important as Donaldson's resurgence this week, it's been Roddy Gale just having signs of life.
Here's the other part of that. Like March is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Playing in neutral court environments too, when you are either facing a hostile environment or facing criticism from your home fans, you're not playing well.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two scenarios, environments that you play in oftentimes when you're somebody like Gale who has performed the way Gale has. So to get to a neutral court where there's not as much of that, and it's fun basketball. We all love this time of year. Players love this time of year
Right.
too. It's easier to have fun, and then if things start getting going, it can snowball. Plus, like he's a good player. He's kind of due to get out of the slump at some point, and so you get some of that stuff going. It builds on itself, and so almost a progression back to the mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we didn't really talk about this on the channel too much, but Umar Balo's comments the other day kind of bummed me out a little bit because he's deserved a lot of criticism, and I think our channel has been very loud antagonists of Indiana players this year, rightfully so when they've made mistakes. But it can get personal sometimes, certainly on Twitter with egg accounts, it can get personal. And I think players in the NIL era feel that. And you got to remember, these are still kids.
Mhm.
And whether or not they're getting paid for it doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshole. Roddy Gale has been the victim of that from Michigan fans. I mean, it's constant. It is uh, everything. He talked about death threats when he left Ohio State, but Michigan fans have been just as nasty to him when he's struggled in a Michigan uniform. And I think it's weighed on him. And to that point, I think when you get caught in a 20 game conference regular season and it's not going well for you, you can just spiral
Yeah.
because it feels the same and it feels like there's no way out. And this Big Ten tournament has been a way out for these guys for Michigan that have struggled from a role perspective. So it's good to see him thrive. Michigan is a very, very good team
Mhm.
when Roddy Gale and Trey Donaldson look like this.
Yes.
That's been true the entire season long. And they won
Yes.
a lot of games when they looked worse than this. And that's where it came in that this Michigan team's really lucky. They were lucky to win games when Donaldson and Gale looked like this. There was nothing all that lucky about this game.
No.
This was Michigan coming and putting up an A+ performance against a really good team.
Yeah, if anything, Maryland was lucky that they were able to claw back into this and almost steal it because they did not play well enough to win for a vast majority of the game.
What'd you make of the I guess that side of it in general? Because down the stretch, it was a lot of like just, hey, I'm at the free throw line again. And I'm not blasting the officials for this. I know there are some fans that are. I thought Reuben Jones fouled Derek Queen twice in the final minute, but it was kind of like Derek Queen's falling. Like he's just over dribbling, and Reuben Jones
Mhm.
does have an armbar on him. Did you think those calls were deserved? Did you think, I don't know, what'd you make of that sequence?
They were defendable if you were the official, right? Like they were defendable. You could call them. You've seen scenarios where those are let go. I think it kind of depends on what lens you're looking through this at, whether it's as a Michigan fan or a Maryland fan, how you
Yeah.
feel. Like as a neutral observer, I thought they were fine. I didn't find anything super egregious about them. I also thought they could, one of them could have been let go, which would have been fine. But at that point in the game, with a guy that big, he's going to get rewarded for being aggressive. We see this time and time again. So I had no issue with it.
Yeah, I would like Reuben Jones to be smarter and not hip check guys outside of the 3 point line with 5 seconds left. That would be my ask of my
Yes.
quote unquote lockdown defender. So hopefully that gets fixed before the NCAA tournament. When there was 0.4 seconds put back on the clock, I would have bet my life Reuben was going to just like foul a dude jumping at the free throw line. Like, dude, just stop hip checking people. I don't get it. Credit to Derek Queen. He was stellar. I've criticized him at times this year. I don't know that you are even aware of this because it's been on a lot of these Maryland previews and recaps that I've been on with Carter or with Dion. But I love Derek Queen's game. I'm also not afraid of Derek Queen at all. That's sort of been my stance coming into these games. Is like he's just. I think he's what people think Danny Wolf is, where it's like all for show. It's dazzling. He's a pro. He should be a lottery pick. He jogs back on defense a lot. I think he watches rebounds happen. He had 3 rebounds in 37 minutes in this game.
Yep.
He just kind of floats, and it's okay that he floats because he's really good. I'm saying all this to say I'm gonna shut up about Derek Queen forever going forward because what he did offensively in this game was so special. I'm gonna ignore the downsides to it, but just want to eat some crow on that because Derek Queen nearly single-handedly stole this game from Michigan when they played an A-plus performance.
This is, I think this is as close like the real Derek Queen as you're gonna get because you have the guy who is so incredibly skilled offensively and can do so many different things with the ball in the basket that it's why he's talked about as a lottery pick. But the 3 rebounds you mentioned are an issue. They're a massive issue, and the lack of competitiveness on the glass is an issue. I think some of that comes down to fatigue, which again, played a ton of minutes yesterday, played a ton of minutes today. All of Maryland looked a little fatigued. That's going to happen. But this has been something with him even when that's not the case. So that's something that has to improve if he's going to take the next step in his game. Because with his skill set, this could have been a 30 and 15 game for him, which we've seen him have before.
Yeah.
But this would have been a tougher test against Michigan's front line. He's got to fight a little bit more to get that. And that little bit of edge was not there in this game.
Yeah, he again, like you said, he's had games that are super gaudy in the box score, eye test popping, can't be stopped physically, and then there's been games where I just feel like he just floats. I don't know what the word is for it, but he really swung me negatively against him after the Michigan State game where they scored 55 points at home and lost, and I just felt like down the stretch he was trying all these tough step back fadeaways. He's shooting threes when he's made 1 3 in 3 months. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you know what your game is? Do you know where you dominate at versus where you don't? It feels like there's no self-awareness on that. But again, in this game, he had every sort of bucket from my team. He was,
Yeah.
what did he do? He hit 2 threes in this game,
Yep.
9 for 9 from the free throw line. So offensive monster, lottery pick. I have all the respect in the world for him. But yeah, I think some of my comments from the preseason were a little true on his toughness down low in this game. Couple quick hitters from me before we get out of here. I want to ask you on the final play by Donaldson. So coast to coast, they ended up basically getting a quick huddle. I don't think it was a full out of timeout before this, but they made a sub because of the Reuben Jones foul. So Dusty was able to quickly get a little like, here's the action
Mhm.
to his point guard and to Vlad. And clearly it was just ball right back to you, go coast to coast. You're
Yep.
doing this. What does that mean?
Smart. It was smart to be able to get that in and smart to keep it simple. Like you see coaches a lot of times try and draw up the perfect play to where afterwards it's like, look how good of a coach I am. And that's overcoaching. When there's 5 seconds left and you need something to happen, especially full length of the court, it's best to keep it simple. And so to create the time to tell your guy to just go and to also tell him to just go, I thought were both excellent coaching decisions by Dusty May.
Dusty's been insanely good in like one drop of possession action moments this year, like after
Yeah.
timeout stuff in the final 4 minutes. It is not single handedly the reason, but how do you get here where you've won 12 games by 4 points or less? A lot of late game execution stuff.
Mhm.
It's real. And yes, a lot of luck is involved, but I can count so many different plays I could single-handedly remind you of moments where Dusty has drawn up an action that has worked in a tie game with a minute left. And in this game, it was a 1 point deficit with 5 seconds left. Not even going to act like it was a genius play, but he got the ball in the hands of a guy who is lightning fast from end to end. And it was a great play
Yep.
by Donaldson, too, right? Because he has not
Yep.
been a great decision maker at all this year. But there was no other decision here. He had to go finish over the trees. He did with his offhand. It was pretty impressive to me.
It really was. Like one, Dusty also took the decision making out of it. It was basically just go.
Yeah.
I also felt like Maryland, maybe it was just me on the couch, but I also felt like Maryland had a little bit of just like, don't foul. Like
Well,
just kind
that's
of,
as Derek Queen and Julian Reese, man. You're
yeah.
right there. You're both 6'11". Trey Donaldson 6'1". And I mean, that was not overly contested there.
I think given the fact that they had just tied the game and took the lead off of a foul and the free throws, as you mentioned, had gotten them back in it, I
Yeah.
think there was a sense of like, let's not do this.
Yeah. I think let's not do this is a good way to summarize some of Maryland's late game execution issues this year from Derek Queen and Julian Reese. Again, they are a team that's had a lot of bad luck as much as Michigan has had good luck. I'm sure no Maryland fan listening to this is agreeing with me on this, but there's just like I'd go back to the Michigan State game. Trey Holloman hit a supremely lucky shot. He only even had the opportunity to do that because of a boneheaded play by Jacoby Gillespie. Don't shoot that shot with 6 seconds left, and you don't give the opponent a chance. In this game, like Maryland had this one multiple times in the final minute, and yeah, watching it on a replay easier said than done. But Reese and Queen are just standing there watching as Trey
Yep.
Donaldson finishes. So I don't know. Is this Maryland team a team you want to buy in March?
By how far?
Well, what do you think? A lot of people still like them. Final Four upside. I can see it, but I don't know that I'm going to go there.
I think they need more depth for Final Four upside. I
Yeah.
think I could go. I think I could go second weekend, but I also think they could be very gettable in the second round.
Yeah.
Like I think first round they're going to be great, but I do, and this game prevents some of that. 2 games in 3 days with basically a 5 guy rotation has me concerned about your legs at the end of that second game.
Yeah, they are not a team that I'm going to be targeting to get upset immediately by
Right.
like even like a good mid-major against Maryland. I'm not worried about for Maryland, but when they get to better teams, it's just how good are
Yeah.
you really? I think this team is very talented, but the lack of depth's a huge issue to me. And like I said, I've got toughness questions from the internal guys a little bit. Quick hitters for me on Michigan, then we can get out of here. The players on this team, couple things dawned on me real quick as I was watching Dusty talk about this in the post game. For a team that has been so limited at times, I mean, the story of the last month has been they just have Vlad and Danny and nothing else.
Mhm.
Imagine if this team had Selton Miguel and Rodney Rice, how good they'd be. Like just they're just nothing, right? It's two guys, sometimes Trey Donaldson, nothing else. For a team that's been true about, it is true. This team has also had so many moments where all five starters for Michigan have won them a game.
Mhm.
I mean, Trey Donaldson tonight, he did the same against UCLA. He went on a 10-0 run at Pauley. Roddy Gale has 3 different game-winning shots this year.
Amari
Namari
Burnett.
Burnett hit the 3 to beat Rutgers when they were
Yep.
down 1 with a second left. And then obviously Vlad and Danny have won the games. But it's just, I doubt there's any team in the country that has 5 different guys who have hit game-winning moments for a team.
Yeah.
And Michigan is not a team you want to trust even out to the third guy. But like it just don't maybe this team deserves a little more trust. Maybe, like you said, maybe this is just the bright lights. Let's get up for this thing. Because when Roddy Gale and Amari Burnett and Trey Donaldson have had chances to have a moment like this, they've usually delivered this year.
Who else has had as many chances though?
Danny Wolf.
Oh, I'm saying no other team
Oh, well, right.
has had as many
Right.
chances to show it. Now, like I do think there is something to that, and that Michigan deserves credit for that. But you still need to play well the first 39 minutes of the game consistently. Like I think Michigan's won enough of these where you feel comfortable in a close game that somebody's going to make a play. But the question has been like, particularly with how they did the last three games of the regular season. Can you get it to a close game against good teams?
Yeah, I hear it. They're up 15 in this game. It rings a little hollow when they blow out Purdue and then this. Like,
I'm not saying from this. I'm saying like if
oh,
we're
I know.
talking bigger picture, that's the question.
I get it. I think if some of the again, it's been true for a month, but
Yeah,
like if those guys were that untrustworthy, I think they actually would have lost a lot of these games.
that's fair.
Namari wouldn't make the shot. Roddy Gale would mess up the final plays that he's been tasked with. Like when
That's
they
fair.
get to those moments, it's more than just Danny and Vlad, I feel like.
Yes,
So again, this is
absolutely.
as someone who's been super critical. I said a week ago I didn't think this team would beat anybody again this year. And here they are with a Big Ten banner to play for tomorrow. It'll be interesting. Last thing for me, Dusty May, another guy that I've criticized loudly in the last week. Uh, his last week has gone as follows since getting embarrassed by his rival and having some choice words for Tom Izzo after the game. He did a media press tour, including going on Dan Dockich's Outkick show and calling up Big Cat and PFT to be on Part of My Take 10 hours after Tom Izzo did. He is not running from the spotlight to double and triple down on his pettiness towards Tom Izzo in Michigan State. Then we next see him at the Big Ten tournament during the Maryland Illinois game, sitting at the press row table. And the broadcast was like, I've never seen a coach do. Robbie Holmes was like, I've never seen a coach scout and take notes, a head coach, an hour before his game for the game that's a day away. That's basically, say what you want about it. That's basically Dusty May being like, F Purdue, we're playing this team in a day. And then he came out and pantsed Purdue. And then he came out and built a big lead on Maryland with some clutch plays late. And then he walked off today with phone hands to the Michigan crowd and said, call your friends, tell them to be here tomorrow. I didn't see any of this coming a week ago. But as a Michigan fan, I'm now sitting here like, holy shit, this guy has some shit to him. What is your current perception of Dusty May, the head coach?
That he's awesome and that he's letting loose. I feel like so if we can just like track the 3 year arc of Dusty May, right? He had that great FAU team where it was kind of like, all right, we're all this stuff is new. The spotlight is new, and he was a presented himself as a very buttoned up, put together, smart coach, which is great. Last year, FAU did not meet expectations, and it seems like everybody kind of wanted out, and there were things that did not go well. And I think he, at least publicly, bit his tongue through a lot of that. You heard nothing from Dusty May last
Mhm.
year when things did not go according to plan. Gets the Michigan job. This year goes really well. Everyone's praising him again, which they should be. He's an awesome coach. And then the end of the regular season happened where there's a lot of outside noise that's negative, and perhaps some internal noise that was negative as well. I think he is now like, no, we do this. I do this. I'm kind of fed up with everything. Like, let's just, we're going. We got this. Like it feels like he's was at a breaking point of like trying to be the nice guy. And is now just like, nope, we're doing what I need to do. I think the scouting Purdue thing, you hear people talk all the time about like NBA players when they go like on a road trip to play game 6 and 7 and they're up 3-2, they only bring in one suit because they're winning this in six, right? Or what? There's stuff like that. Maybe the scouting Purdue is some trick of being like, okay, we know we're so focused on the next game, or because we know we're going to win this one. There's people think there's a mental edge to that, but I think there's a bit of letting loose from Dusty May that is deserved, and it's like almost a release coming from being at some sort of breaking point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's that. I completely agree. And I would add, I think it demonstrates some level of belief in his team.
Yes,
Because if you really thought this was going to fall off the rails, as you alluded to last year with FAU, he did not say a peep.
nope.
And as soon as the season ended, he knew he was leaving one, but two, there was some rumblings that like the big three, Vlad, John L, and Elijah, didn't really get along and didn't really want to do this together again. So I'm making a little PhD stretch here, but I think it doesn't take that much of a stretch to realize like last year, Dusty may have felt like, I don't know about this.
Hmm.
And nobody would have blamed him if after the way the regular season ended, he felt that way about this team. I mean, the
Yep.
Michigan fans were asking, like, are we going to bring Trey Donaldson back next year or are we going to try and get somebody better?
Right.
Like, that's still a conversation to be had, unfortunately. But the point is this: I think every single little action that Dusty May has made in the last week, even the ones that I don't agree with, has been for a reason. He
Yes.
is a smart, calculated man that doesn't do anything overly emotionally. And if he is conveying emotion for some reason, usually there's a reason behind it. I hypothesized that maybe he was trying to take some pressure off his team, maybe
Maybe.
become the distraction this week. I don't know if that was it or not. If it was, it worked because we're seeing the best version of his guys. And again, it's just been a legacy week for him. How to respond like that after losing the league to your rival in the fashion that you did and just double and triple down on we're still here and letting everyone hear about it has been wildly impressive. So we'll see
Yep.
if they can cap it. If they do cap it, are you aware of the Save the Big Ten movement, Ralph?
I am aware of the Save the Big Ten movement. Yes.
If Michigan wins a Big Ten tournament banner as an unbiased partisan, is the Big Ten officially saved?
For now. For now.
It's all of us Isaac Haas's fault, man. You were here during Gripe Week. I know you were, Ralph. All right, we're gonna have the Michigan Wisconsin preview up on the channel shortly. Thanks to Ralph for filling in. Thank you to all of you for listening. It's been a great conference tournament week. We got a lot more for you this upcoming week as well.